You're already all here. Wow. That's so fast because you had a link to go to. I had to like mess around and go sign into my account. Um, I'm changing to gallery. Hi. This is great. Welcome, welcome. Hey, Michael. Wonderful to
No,
have you
forward.
all here. Well, we're all very good at waiting, I heard. I see quite a few familiar faces. Welcome. Hi. Just hanging out and being spacious, like having in. So this is like I came to this natural awareness is because I was studying in Tibetan traditions where they speak about natural awareness with all the difficult language around it sometimes and all the processes to get to it and ultimately I felt like it was kind of like preaching to the choir. It's like it's beautiful. I mean, these beautiful intent, and I wished I realized what an incredible heart opening practice it had been for me. So and realizing that all of us in this room and in the larger room today, and anybody that starts paying attention to the true essence, is the first step into world peace, right? Straight from my heart. So I realized that it needed to be opened up more. So I went to UCLA and did the TMF program with Diana and Marv, and as did Michael here. So are there any others? I uh, I have two in my breakout room. So I wished it to be opened up because it's a bit esoteric at first hearing. So a lot of the things I will be saying, like I said earlier when I attempted to do it in like 10 seconds, is that it's like not something you can really point at. So just listen with your heart, like let it flow through you. Don't really like grab onto every word and like try, don't make notes or anything. Just be about it, be open flow. So already right now, no waiting to be present. So I'm gonna be talking and stopping a little here and there. We're gonna take like a breath. So ultimately, all these practices are about making our lives the meditation, right? So having never stopping meditating, or maybe never started meditating, just being present, being fully present in our life. So now we're back into mindfulness, um, might as well be there while we are having a life, right? So so indeed, no waiting to be present. So if you would please, would you hey, let me mute everyone. Yeah, if there are any um, mind or heart emergencies, please unmute and speak up, and also know that whenever we start like really looking within, and if it gets a little too much, you can always stop meditating or mm, change your perspective a little, or just take a breath, or just come back to who you truly are, and and so let's take a beautiful breath together if you wish to join me. And decontract, like exhaling forever. Like, your breath reaching all the way to the end of the universe. See, the perfect meditation does not need to be a long one. That right there was like perfect presence right there. Don't forget that. A lot of us don't start any meditation practices because we have this thing that has to be half an hour or an hour or I have to sit on a mountain for 10 years. All of that, sure, if that's the flow of your life. But we can all be yogis and teachers of world peace right right now, right? Just from authenticity. So we can just saturate our days with these little splashes of wakefulness, and that will decontract a lot of concern. And so, yeah, I'm indeed always so delighted when people see who they really are and their place in the world. It's truly deeply moving to me, stays that way. And so, what is this? It's this subtle sense, this amazing sense of a wish towards awakening. And then awakening from what? Awakening from the ever repeating ego protective habitual patterns. Yet awakening kind of sounds like another project. So you can let go of the enlightenment project or the awakening project or even the self-improvement project. Because that wish for self-improvement has that narrative built in of like not good enough, right? So just kind of realizing your wholeness right now, the wholeness within when we start paying attention. And also for a moment, please reflect what a beautiful thing it is that you came to this retreat and this room. So what is this thing called self-love? It's where we show up for ourselves in the world. Do you realize where you are? Look at the beautiful people around you. Oh yeah, don't look at my big head. Go to gallery, please. If we were at UCLA, we would be sitting in a circle. I wish us to be together as a collective. So, in place of all the oceans of options we have in our lives, we are here right now together to learn from each other. Everyone in this room right now is sitting in their compassion teaching seat just resonating and showing, look, I'm showing up in my life. And that resonates in concentric circles of like, everyone, please show up in your lives. Show up. So waking up to or becoming lucid to the contents of our mind is an incredible first step to awakening. So more than 99% of the people in the world have absolutely no idea what it feels like to pay attention for a moment. So right now, please kind of pay attention to the space around you and in the space in your body, the space in your mind, not specifically, more looking at like the mosaic, what it feels like to be you right now. So first we become mindful and then we start looking at who or what is it that is mindful, right? So what is the formulation of mindfulness? There are so many. We'll be listening to that all weekend. So I wrote it down. We would be paying attention to whatever is happening and at the same time being aware of the fact that we are paying attention to it. And again, who or what is aware? So maybe close your eyes for a moment and take a deep breath. And then I'll ask you, who or what is aware? What is it that is aware? So then, when you do that investigation, you're actually being aware of being aware, right? So it's awareness pondering awareness. It's like looking into a mirror. It's like a recognition of like, oh yeah, I amness. There's like this sense of I amness, which is our most primary and intimate experience, right? I amness or beingness. And then a life explodes into experience, right? So first, there is pure beingness. And then somebody already realized that when they named us, they called us a human being, right? We're human beings. But too often we're human overdoings. So Why were we called human beings if we so often don't pay attention to that? And it's so apparent, it's so explicit, yet nebulous at the same time. We look right through it, our awareness is. It's too close for it to be true, to appear to be true, but yet our awareness is, our beingness is. And I amness is always present. So then we get asked a lot, please be present, right? Please be present. Um, it's actually, let's tend to our beingness, let's tend to our presence. Presence is always presencing along if we pay attention to it or not. So that's why, welcome to the room of meditation, any meditation, don't ever think you can do any meditation wrong, right? The moment you start like inquiring, like, oh, what is it that I am? And how does it feel to be in my experience? It's the perfect meditation right there, right? So don't need to sit on that mountain for 30 years. So again, I'm going to ask you, so there's going to be lots of quickies, right? So in this tradition, they often say, or these traditions, even here at UCLA, but where I've studied in the past too, is like better a bunch of quickies than one longie, right? Like saturating your days with little sparks of loving presence, right? Like Marv said, paying attention is love, or something like that. So, right now, if you wish to join me, take another deep breath of presence and then decontracting out from the heart, just where we hold on so tightly to who we think we are not. So when I ask you to become present, really look at it. What is it that you do or don't do? So when I ask you to become present, it's actually an unveiling, right? It was already there. It's not something, it's like, oh, I'm just like this little schmuck here that's completely confused and one day I'll be enlightened. Please notice you're beautifully enlightened right now. Right? And the moments we are not, it's just the overlay of concepts and thoughts and feelings and perceptions. But there is this ground of being, this stream of being, this essence of presence, of human beingness that pervades all of our lives. And it, it, it feels full of a soft joy and maybe happiness and peace and love. And then you go like, well, those states are usually past. So I'm not talking about the type of happiness or joy or peace as kind of gleeful, you know. I'm talking more maybe of a soft experience of an absence of lack or being completely okay with things the way they are. Just finally realizing it's completely enough to be a human being. You came here to be. And then you realize when you pay attention to your beingness, yes, there's a tendency for compassion and wisdom to arise. And then we notice the suffering around us. And we just sit here illumined with wisdom and love from paying attention to our innate state. And then there will be concentric circles of compassion and skillful means that burst from us. And the, the, the repercussions or the implications of these practices are social. So once again, I, it's like kind of my thing lately, but I love it. This is the practice of world peace, and we know we need that, right? World peace, and then like not looking at how do we establish world peace? Just establish it right now. So let's take a real deep breath and just sense world peace in your heart. That softness, that sweetness, that wish for happiness, right? That right there, that soft resonance, that is that is your peace. And that is your inspiration to be the teacher of peace. Welcome, all you beautiful teachers of peace. And yes, we can put some muscle on that by paying attention. So I'm going to ask a lot to take a breath and be present. Maybe you're already in a nice flow. You don't have to jump on every little splash of a wakefulness I present. If you feel you're floating along, but if you want to join for every present breath. And I'm going to be quiet for a while too in a bit, and we look a little bit more on stabilizing the continuity of beingness. You know, and we say human beingness, then we start realizing all the animals and all beings in maybe all possible universes or all realms of existence that all share this space of beingness. And there is our interconnectedness, right? The space of being is open. We all share that. And then we all have our unique experiences and the way we interact with that. But then we start coming home to our true essence. So now be quiet for about a minute and just be completely satisfied with being a human being from now on, ever after. This is the place to come home to. Absence of lack within your own human beingness. So here we are, and that's enough for now. Later on, it's time for compassionate, skillful means to express to the world what can I mean for you. Right now, we practice being enough in our own presence. So we are not our thoughts or our emotions or our feelings or our perceptions. We are perfect beingness prior to experience or those states. So from habituating this openness, this sense of freedom, we no longer identify with our thoughts and feelings and emotions. We have them. So when Descartes said, I think, therefore I am, I disagree. I say, I am, therefore maybe I think. Easier said than done, like Marvin says. The creativity or our intelligence always has us looking for beautiful movement and inspiration, and our thoughts are, of course, a vehicle for us to be able to express our innate creativity in the world. So nothing wrong with thoughts. So we keep returning to presence, like we've been learning at this retreat and wherever we learn these things. So the healing happens upon returning. There's like a release of energy there, and we get better at that. There's this release of energy, and then coming home into beingness, into the, let's say, boundless wholeness, our native state. So I'm going to be doing something what they call in the Tibetan traditions pointing out instructions. Because, like I said, we're pointing at something that's not a thing, our beingness, which is like mostly a subjective field, yet it arises as everything, right? If we really look at it, we've always only been the knowing of our experience, nothing more, right? What are we? I know my experience. That's who I am. And then in those traditions, it would take like 20 years or whatever before the lama or the guru would go, all right, here are your pointing out instructions. And they would come back and say, oh, can we have the pointing out instructions, please? And the lama would go, not yet, not yet. You're not ready, right? So you come back 5 years later, and again, not. And finally, the pointing out instructions came, and then disappointed because they are like so mm, apparent. It's like, oh yeah, like we'll do a few soon. So just even if they don't completely resonate with you, realize that your heart is recognizing all this, and the seed has been planted. Maybe later on, all everything we're learning at these retreats is just the planting of seeds, right? They either blossom quickly and you go like, oh, this is it, or maybe this week we're really ready with our busy with our papers or lives, and maybe we'll come back to beingness next week or a few years. But this bypasses our egoic patterns, and this seed, the blossoming of this seed bypasses our egoic patterns and takes the seed in the heart. So it will take a hold in certain parts of your life or all of your life at some point, no doubt, right? So okay, here's a real simple one. If we were to look in between two thoughts, so a little bit of a contrived moment, it's not a sense of nothingness, right? There's a spontaneous presence there. There's like this recognition of being. It's not when I'm not thinking, I'm not gone. My thoughts might not be here, yet I am here. So maybe let's take another breath and relax and look between the thoughts and behold the beauty of your luminous presence right there. So there you are. So please notice that. And once you have glimpsed it, you will never lose it again, right? So here you are. You're a perfect yogi now. You got your yogi diploma, you got your enlightenment diploma, and whatever diploma of human beingness, it's all right there. You can't do it wrong. We can forget it for a moment, overlook it, but it's right there. And from that space, we inform our lives and the lives of those around us with wisdom and compassion, which many people say mostly in secular environments, it's a fostering of wisdom and compassion. I feel it's an unveiling of an innate, beautiful human beingness, like I keep hinting at. But if it's a fostering or an unveiling is completely irrelevant because we all know we need more compassion and wisdom in the world. So we'll let it go and we'll just be about it. So yes, this is the practice. Oh yeah, we learned, or you already know if it's redundant, there will always be some redundancies that, we have an anchor, right? An anchor to kind of rest our attention on. So now I'm giving you kind of a nebulous anchor It's like awareness is our anchor. So it's awareness upon awareness, being aware of being aware, which is a little bit of a slippery slope. So when I'm going to go silent a little longer in a little while, um, if you feel you're getting distracted easily, I sometimes use more like instead of an anchor, a gentle leash to the nowness experience. You could maybe do a partial. You can have like, say, 35% breath awareness and 65% being aware of being aware. You can start playing with that in your practice. And when you feel it slip a little, it's a moving kind of space. So this is the practice of staying within the very immediacy of our experience and not get lost in a dream theater called the not now. Let's always bring ourselves back to the very now. It has always been only now. When was the last time you actually experienced the past or the future? I mean, try to wave your hand in the past or in the future. That doesn't work, right? So this is the only space of true human beingness right here. So what time is it? Right now, always now. So then we learn we're not paying attention to the present moment. We're paying attention as the present moment. We are the present moment. We are resonating with beingness as the present moment. And when did this now start? And when did it end anyway? Right? So it's only present moment. Your whole life will only be present moment. It might shimmer with the brilliance of different experiences and reflect and refract, and yet you can always pull back into beingness. And I had some practice. I went on retreat for 2 years nearly, silent retreats in my life, and yet I fall off my horse all the time. But I return pretty quick. And like I said, in returning is where the healing happens. So never ever when you return to presence have a little narrative of like, shit, where was I? Again, I was distracted. No, have compassion for that. The beautiful creativity is playing along, its beingness playing here, informing the world. And then back to presence. Just having a good time. A human being having a good time being. And then not everything is a good time. And then from the perspective of some of the Buddhist teachings that would say it's all the joy of being in all its um, fluctuations of light and dark, every shadow being not being different than another shape of light. So, what is beingness? They speak in the older traditions of the clear light mind, light, right? So the light, metaphorically being like our cognitive capacity, the knowing, right? So shining the light of knowing on all experience, right? So it's nearly like radar. It's like I'm shining knowing on everything around me. So feel that I'm this awareness. I shine the light of presence on my experience. So for a moment, if you want to take a breath, relax the little what about me mind and open up into your open, spacious, creative mind and look around and shine the light of beingness and the light of knowing on your environment. And then it can return upon itself. It can shine the light on itself and know itself. And then we're back at being aware of being aware, being the presence of awareness knowingly, being the presence of human beingness knowingly. I know that I am. I am, and the I that I am knows that I am. That's that's a practice we can have. So let's sit in that for a moment, knowing that I am, and see if you can stabilize that a little. And if you get distracted a lot, just put your attention partially on the breath or on a neutral spot on your feet or wherever you're comfortable, or be a space yogi and see if you can kind of stabilize in pure I amness or natural awareness. And an awareness that is spacious, not so confined by the parameters of your anatomy. Just let it flow out a little from, and like fill the space around you like a sphere of awareness. It was not for nothing they depicted holy people with a halo. Feel your halo. It's not metaphorical. Be your halo. So stay open and spacious. Don't grab onto my words, let them flow right to you. Ultimately, over time, by resting in our beingness, there is a fostering or a flourishing of positive mind states and a diminishing of negative mind states. So the answers of who we really are is not something you can figure out. It's only something you can be. And then the ultimate result is we become the answer. So in all the traditions of wisdom, the premise is that we have an inherent, primordially loving and kind wisdom essence. Again, if it's fostered or unveiled, we let go. Even if a lot of the time it doesn't really appear to be that way. I used to sit with this older meditation teacher. Just being in the same room with her made my heart rejoice. And often people would ask her, how do I know my practice is having an effect? And she would always say, are you becoming kinder to yourself and others? And then you will notice more and more when you find yourself in these beautiful circles where people pay attention to their deeper essence, that there is indeed a blossoming of kindness. So here we are with just a natural body, a natural breath and energy, and a natural heart and mind. So here come a few of the pointing out questions and maybe instructions. So if I ask you, are you aware? Where do you go? Or if I ask, who are you? Or who am I? It's the same question as are you aware? Do you feel that? So when you look for awareness, you don't look at the thoughts. You're looking right back into that which knows your thoughts. So another look at what is awareness or beingness is, how do I know that I exist? And what element of my experience is continuous? Again, experiences come and go, yet always I am here. So again, what is here? Presence is here. We know that we are, and we don't need a thought for that. We don't walk around saying, I am, I am, I am. It's self evident. So, an hour ago, we were having experiences, although we were maybe meditating, and thoughts and emotions. Yet, what was there? I amness or beingness. And, and this morning, while we were having breakfast, I amness. And when we were born, I amness. We can always return to our innate state of presence. And while you're so beautifully present, I would like to say this one sentence that the Buddha used to say: you could search the entire world over and you would find no one more deserving of your love and kindness than you. And look how kind you are being for you by being here at this retreat. So just sitting here together as silence, not paying attention to the silence, but being the silence. And I'd like to invite you to the beauty that life has to offer us, this present moment. It's this very moment that's inviting you. Just this moment, your life as it is in this moment, is the invitation. Life is flowing around of you. Maybe an occasional thought is passing by. You maybe feel yourself sitting on the chair. You hear my voice. And yet, all that is manifesting is pointing right back to you. That's the gift of this very moment of natural awareness. It's happening for no reason. It's free from reasons. It's just a gift to be experienced and lived fully. And from this habituation of present, life becomes an open-eyed meditation. And it's not always appealing. It doesn't have rules. Sometimes it appears as pain or grief or rage or guilt or jealousy, attachment. And sometimes it's so tender and joyful and peaceful and loving. And it's beautiful because it has no rules. It's free. It's not asking for anything. Can you feel that? It's just sitting right there. Here you are. This is the homecoming. It's kind of a spacious openness of being. It's mine, it's yours, it's you, it's I, forever. And we can talk forever about consciousness and watch the I am. But we let go of any search or any leaning into future or past. This is a call to life, to awaken to life, not away from life. So again, for a few moments, continue and aware and behold the radiant beauty of your own knowing luminosity of natural awareness. Welcome home. Yes, it takes a little practice, but all of you that are here paying attention right now had a glimpse, or more than a glimpse, of your own beautiful beingness. Yeah, it is difficult for us just to be. There's still, most of the time, there's a stretching at the edge of the now, wanting it to become the next now. Maybe a little restless. But yeah, notice that. Be mindful of that too. It basically means we living a life of becoming instead of being. So, again, being a human being instead of a human overdoing. So much of our lives we focus on becoming, yet we never become what we wish to become. What we wish to become is the being that is already here right now. So, right there, again, there's no need for self improvement in this very moment. Just sit in your completeness for a moment. So, this wide open presence meditation is where we learn to trust the immediacy of being and stop being an internal jury. And have our own hearts and mind be a place of refuge. We have a sense of protection, a sense of shelter that is really so vital for us right here within. And then over time, in the very moment of this very moment, we begin to heal some of our past. See, because the past is only arising in our present moment beingness. So by being the healing of presence, we're healing our past and our future. Because often in the very immediacy of our practice, an autobiographical storyline surfaces. This loneliness, this melancholy, this sadness, this pandemic, still by myself, still stuck with these people. It was this rather than that. And when our past manifests in this present moment, we bring our love to it. A loving, patient, awakened awareness, or natural awareness. And in this way, our sense of history, this sense of our own history changes. And our inner life becomes more and more safe. Indeed, a place of refuge. So we don't have to go look in all the wrong places for a refuge and peace. We learn to find it within, and only then are we ready to have a beautiful relationship with whomever walks into our realm, our sphere of presence. And ultimately, it's the only place of refuge we have. And when the heart and mind is that free and open, everything flows easier. Every time it awakens the heart into present love and joy and compassion, we become so profoundly intimate with the tenderness of the human condition. It's so deeply moving and unbearably touching being human. We can start to feel that, and what can the heart do in that moment but burst open? So it's a mystical path. of not knowing what is this really, this presence. We don't need to know, we just be about it. And, and some forms of pain and some forms of stuckness only dissolve when they are held in this kind of non ordinary natural awareness. So let's have another splash of awakefulness with a reset, another shorty into a deeper shift of mm, awarefulness presence. Take a breath if you wish. Completely fresh new moment. So if it's all the joy of being, just put a smile on your heart, not so serious, even a smile on your face if you're there. Because what is there first, the smile or the joy? And from over time, from being more and more present in our lives, we start experiencing all things as beauty and all people or all beings as love. So, what happens when we experience like loveliness or splendor or beauty or love in our lives? What is that experience? It's the temporary collapse of subject and object, which can only be experienced while we are truly present, a true merging with everyone we get in touch with, and we call that experience love, and then not leaving ourselves out of the equation. So, from that experience, from that presence, you can't believe everything you think, especially not at night. Just come home to your beingness whenever you feel lost. Don't let those thoughts whisper into your ears and heart the stories of who you are not. I had heard for a long time in my life about Ramdas, but I never really went to him. It was maybe, from that perspective, a little too fluffy for me at that time. So I finally made it to his retreat uh, about a year and something ago, and he had serious cognitive issues, and there was nothing really left of him being able to express himself. And he came on from Hawaii. He passed, but he lived in Hawaii. He came on the big screen, and the only teaching he had left, he kept repeating, was loving awareness, loving awareness, loving awareness. So trust that beautiful heart of yours. Bring your awareness for a moment to your heart center and let your awareness take a seat at the heart of compassion, letting the protective shell around the heart soften, allowing your sensitivity to be part of your embodied wisdom right now. So a compassion that sprouts just from the realization how beautiful it is that we have this capacity to pay attention upon attention, to pay attention to our body, to our energy, and the fluctuations of our mind and its resonance in our bodies, and its greater relationship to all beings and all things in the universe. So don't bother your mind and don't let your mind bother you. You're perfectly beautiful just the way you are. So this is not a practice of a way to cope with our lives. It's an ever-evolving process, again, of the diminishing of negative mind states and flourishing of positive mind states. Not just the practice of just being okay. What we just perceive as normal is often nowhere near our full and flourishing life experience potential. So let that beautiful beingness shine throughout your life and everyone you love, which ultimately will be all beings without preference. So we'll just sit for a few more minutes, maybe 2, 3, 4, just kind of feeling the resonance of having paid attention so meticulously and caringly. So maybe whenever you're ready, softly return to the room with all the yogis around you. I have to get up for a moment because the sun is hitting my laptop and the fan keeps screaming and being loud. Thank you for sitting with me. It was really amazing coming to this room among all the other beautiful choices you had. There you are. Don't look at my head, look around the room at all beautiful beings with us. So, I would love to hear from someone or some of you, if you had an experience, if maybe you didn't get it at all, or maybe you had a hint of it, or you had a revelation, or any question, or you can even talk about your practice, how you usually do it, and how that has a lot more purpose for you than what we tried here. But it's a different perspective to play with. So if anybody would like to, I would love to hear. we got a chat. Sorry, forgot we had a chat. All kinds of chat. Oh, thank you, Sarah. Oh, you saw yellow. I can talk about that too. But Sarah first. A visceral reaction. Well, that's nice reporting, but could you maybe say something about it and unmute? What was visceral?
I I don't know if like I could put it into words so much. It was just I felt like warm and I like was like thinking and feeling and seeing yellow and like I was like I don't know, it was very very moving for me.
Thank you for sharing that. Well, that makes me very happy. Um, and you saw yellow. Um, yeah, there, if you want to get esoteric, there are all these practices because I spoke about the clear light mind, like shining the light, and then there are meditations where you look into the light, and then that kind of fosters a certain brightness and a luminosity. Um, it's maybe a little too fluffy for the UCLA experience, but there's something you can play with. You know, you can. There are so many different ways to play with our awareness, and so there are quite a few yogis that look into the light. So you kind of had a natural kind of experience of like the shifting of consciousness into like the light of beingness. That's how I see it, and or it's just the change of the way you pay attention from a scientific perspective. I have no answer why you would see a light. I'm not qualified for that, but from the yogi perspective, it's a breakthrough. You're outside, outside of what?
I'm in my backyard, so that I was looking into the sun at some points or like so maybe that was
Yeah, but
it.
you were naturally doing a specific yogi practice, which takes even more than 20 years before they point that one out, I think. I mean, most monks don't even get that. They call it Togyal. You can go Google it, Togal or Thogal, if you're interested.
Can you
Um,
type it in the chat? I couldn't write it down.
mhm.
Thank you, please.
I think I see it spelled like, oh, it wants to do total spell checker alert. Or I've seen it like that. Don't Google it yet. Stay with us. um, and yeah, so stabilizing awareness in awareness, like I said, is a bit of a slippery slope, but it's amazing practice. So mostly they want you to do concentration practices because it's easy to get distracted because it's a little flowy, right? And but then ultimately awareness is like we keep doing all these different meditations, like like waves in the ocean, right? And always looking for that perfect meditative experience of like, who am I? What am I? And then overlooking that we actually the wetness or the water, right? So this is the core practice of all like yogis on mountains and in monasteries that all pay attention to their beingness, right? And so vipassana or mindfulness is basically doing that too. We coming from our beingness and paying attention. So beingness, paying attention, and then not so strongly identifying with our experience. And then right today we're like, well, okay, who what is present, right? So we played with that. So it's profound for me. They threw me a little bit too quick in that. I went to a retreat. My first retreat was not vipassana or any concentrating. I went to a Sochen retreat where that's what we did. What I was kind of pointing out today, which I was distracted a lot. Of course, I went for a 10-day silent retreat and I had no meditation experience whatsoever. And so I did what some people have. I had an experience of a lot of emotion came up because I had been, you know, looking away from who I really was, and so these emotions were screaming to be paid attention to. You know, they're just like flowers wishing to be paid attention to. You know, I call sadness the flower of compassion, right? It's like once we pay attention to it, then we go like, oh wow, we can help all people to see that what what the purpose of our sadness is. It teaches us compassion. How would we know compassion if we had never been sad before? So next time we're sad, or if you're sad right now, maybe have a little bit of gratitude. Go, oh yeah, right. I can't feel it right now, but at some point, I will be grateful for this experience. Hi, please take me.
See, I've had several plateaus in my practice over the years, and every once in a while, when I get a taste like today, it makes the work so much easier. And it's a great reward. Uh, like you said, it's a lot of those shorties
Yeah, that's important.
certainly make it worth it. That's a reward. Thank you. So
Yeah,
great practice.
yeah, thank you. That's makes me happy too. But keep in mind, you use the word plateau, right? So that is a long horizontal line. So it's like that means you're kind of holding on to a certain state, right? So meditation, it's so fresh that there is no holding. When you start holding on to a certain state, you're actually meditating on something that just went by, right? It felt good just a moment ago, and I kind of want to prolong that. So we're kind of meditating, looking over our shoulder, right? So it's not fresh and open, and just completely letting go. So to mm, bypass holding on to contrived states, right? Even contrived awareness kind of practice is like not really open. It's not natural. It's not natural. That's where the naturalness comes in. Um, so they break up the meditation. That's why I said a lot of shorties. I said that's really one of the main messages that comes through from a lot of these traditions. A lot of shorties, right? So even shorties in your meditation practice. So when you go to like a Mahamudra or a Sochen retreat, everybody sits in silence, and suddenly the meditation guide will go, put, and and we know in Zen, people get kind of whacked on the shoulder. These days, you request it because it's not appropriate anymore to whack people, I guess, but it used to be. But so remember that if you're sitting and you feel like, oh, it's a little stale, I think I'm just gonna go back to whatever I usually do. Maybe first try to break it up, and like Marv said, maybe stand up or change your perspective. Or yeah, and the sound pet is what they do. It's actually spelled PHAT or sometimes PHET. It's supposedly a primordial wisdom sound of awakening. Fun to know. For some, it might be a deep thing. For others, it's like, well, whatever sound you make, right? And then you go like, well, if I'm by myself and I call out myself back into freshness, call myself back into natural awareness, how could I surprise myself? Well, you'll be surprised. I can. So what if you have that when you go like you can just say wake up or something like that. If you feel the slightest impulse to kind of call yourself out into waking up, right, and you just jump right onto that impulse, you'll be surprised. You can get your heart rush, a little heart rush even. Oh, right, okay, and in that freshness of that moment right there. So I forgot. Usually I bring a picture. There is like a famous Buddha picture in Lhasa, Tibet. It's a statue of Padmasambhava, the main yogi that brought Buddhism to Tibet. And his meditation, in most Buddhas in Vipassana, are shown contemplative, like staring down a little softly. The eyelids are either closed or a little bit shut. This yogi, Padmasambhava, he sits like this, eyes wide open, just like. So life becomes an eye open meditation. So maybe you can try to meditate a little also with your eyes open, which is like part of natural awareness, but not enough time to address, but I can be reached, you know, and my email address is out there. So if you're really into it and you want to know more, I have availability for everyone, right? So anybody that wishes to pay more attention to their true essence, you would make me so happy. So don't hesitate to reach out with any questions or wishing to be having me tell you where to. I'm sorry, it's hard to read and talk. Having me tell you maybe books to read or retreats or or meditate with me, whatever you wish. If we email you, maybe request a copy of. Oh, it is recording. Oh, we're lucky because I have an automatic recording. Yes, definitely. Anybody. Yeah. So my email address is Timo is my name, Timo, at consciousnesstourguide.com. I'm a little embarrassed because it's my new email address. I just got that. So, this is one of. I have to watch the time. Yeah. So we have time for one more question or any statement because we have to have a 15-minute break. They still whack people even without request? Is it like, yeah, they just do it? I guess walking into the space is giving permission, right?
Mostly you requested.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
they might also request you to be whacked.
Yeah, I know that, but it didn't used to be that way. The little monks would be sitting there like, oh, wake up.
It's a pretty good wake-up call.
Thank you. Do I listen to? I have, yes, but it's not something I gravitate to all the time. Why do you ask, Sarah? Is that something you listen to? You don't have to open your mic. Yeah, okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Um,
Hi.
I had a similar experience as you. I never meditated until one day I went to a 4-day retreat in a Zen monastery in Mount Baldy, and I cried the 4 days. My eyes were swollen, and I went to several monasteries for to several retreats and monasteries after that, and that didn't happen again. So I was wondering if I was doing something wrong.
No, you're finally paying attention to everything about you. Just cherish that. And it needed attention. It needed paid attention to for such a long time that there was a bit of an accumulation and an overwhelmingness of it, right? But when we start paying attention more regularly, that's the beauty of regular practice. We don't have this building up and this pressure situation of emotions, right? Because emotions are beautiful. We need them, right? Like I said, sadness is for compassion, and fear is to pay attention. And okay, so I've at 4 o'clock you can go, but I'll stay here. So if you want to talk a bit more, I'll stay.
Hi, can I ask you a couple of questions if you have time?
Yeah, but don't feel like you have to stay, right? If you want to take a 15-minute break, anybody, because we start again in the main room, I think in 15 minutes. I should know the schedule, and I'm not sure. Okay, please, I'm ready for your question, Rabia.
So I have two questions. One is regarding one of the statements you made today, and one is totally, not from today's session. So the first question was, you said that you need to focus on that you are enough, you're sufficient. You don't need to become something in order to do. We are human being, not human doing or human becoming.
Yeah.
And then later in the set, you mentioned one of the quotes from Buddha that talks about loving yourself or the best thing you can do. I don't remember exactly what the phrase was,
Yes.
but my interpretation of that was that it talks about being kind to yourself or being loving yourself. And that gives me two questions. That says, if you are enough, why do you need to love yourself or be kind to yourself? Because you are enough. And secondly, if you do love yourself and kind yourself, doesn't that makes you more selfish and more self-focused than being one with the universe?
Yeah. when you start talking about these spacious and maybe somewhat nebulous things, you get caught in a paradox easily. But so paying attention to yourself is never selfish, right? I mean, that is a beautiful thing. But if you're already, yes, there's an innate ground of like wholeness once we kind of, if it's fostered or unveiled, that's what I kind of talked about already, right? That's not really the discussion. It's like that we've seen proof through the millennia that people who start paying attention in different ways with these practices, they become kinder. That's clear, right? So then you say, well, if you're already completely perfect or whatever, that's not really the word, but then why would we have to foster it? It's because there is, of course, this cyclical little what about me mind, the egoic patterns, right? And they learn over time to step out of the way. So it's actually, we step out of the way and allow kind of a wholeness to arise from our heart, right? There's a presence. So it's like what they call wisdom mind and compassion heart. There's that openness, and they're all kind of metaphorical. But you've got, when you started paying attention, I think most of us felt kind of an openness, a freedom, and so we allow it to shine, really, like that natural awareness starts shining when we step out of the way. And yes, we do practices, so then sometimes natural awareness is a bit like, I call it a slippery slope. It's not, maybe we have to first do concentration practice and vipassana and other practices and then come to natural awareness. I like that everybody does it a little bit all at the same time, so maybe if you just, today I'm going to meditate for 30 minutes, so you can do, maybe you start with whatever you like to do, then some compassion, or you start with 10 minutes of concentration, then just let things come and go, vipassana, and then maybe let go of anything and just have awareness rest upon awareness. And it's been, proven through all these millennia that by sitting in that, ultimately awakening will happen. So and then it's like, okay, it's not a teaching of something we have to believe in. It's something we do, and like same what we do at this retreat. Nobody is really telling us this is what will happen. Oh, we say this is what it is. Just experience it for yourself, please. Notice the beauty of your own beingness, right? That's what I said. And then if you then not really see that, but you see like a little glimpse of it, then like, oh yeah, right. Go. Why don't I see it? It's because I have like these thoughts. So then, yeah, we need to kind of foster with compassion towards ourselves and others, and practicing compassion. And then we learn more and more that that our beauty within is veiled, right? So we learn to step out of the way, and stepping out of the way is just presencing, being present. I know I'm not answering your question completely, because I wouldn't ever think I would be able to answer a question that profound with a full you. So basically, the answer is go look for yourself.
I see. And my other question to you was, I know you have tried different kind of retreats and meditations. Have any experience with Sufism, Sufi meditation,
Read a little. No, I did not experience. I read a little bit. I read a Sufi book, so that's not good enough. But I've had people come to my retreats or my workshops that were Sufis, and when they start talking, they sound very similar, right? If you go to the essence of all religions,
yeah,
and all spiritual
all the same.
traditions, it always ends up here, right?
Yeah.
Right. So basically anything where I kind of step out of the box is like, it's all this beingness, and I start saying other things, yeah, then I get a little bit more into the relative and step out of the absolute of beingness. And yeah, you have to kind of have a certain dialogue about what it is and what it isn't. And so basically you can never really point at what it is, you can actually only point at what it is not.
Mm.
And then you ask people to be it, something
And
like that.
And how can we find out more about your meditation sessions? Where would you find that?
Yeah, you can. I will. you will see later on there will be a Google sheet of all the people that were here. That my Timo at consciousnesstourguide.com. So, and so we can talk about it in the email or on the phone or wherever, Google Zoom room. Um, I do right now have a morning group every morning, but that is Sochen, so it has a bit of Buddhist overtones. But I have a lot of secular people that join that appreciate Sochen, and so I like the group. And it's a small, serious group of between 10 and 20 people every day, and so and I like how they all get along. But it might not be for you, you know. So I'm going to start a natural awareness, pure that, without any religious overtones, in the next like month or so.
Thank you. This was very, very, very awe-inspiring. It was very different. Very.
Oh, it was beautiful to have you all. I was so delighted that you came among all the other choices. I was like, well, I was, because I hear the other things and I want to go to all the other ones. I would go over there. And I go, oh, they came here. Great. So the ego shines for a moment, like, okay, here we go.
Hi, Timo.
Yes.
Hi. I wanted to sorry, I really like wanted to first of all say how much I really wanted to come to your sessions all throughout the class, and I just think that you have an awesome energy. And I also like yeah, yeah, of course. And I really resonated with what sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Which is the whole problem. I didn't see whose name.
It's okay. Just say
the last person who spoke. I really resonated with what she said about I don't know, feeling like what the Buddha said, felt like there was some selfishness into it, about that loving kindness. But I also really I think that in this practice I'm like also noticing that like by loving yourself you're also allowing yourself to be kind to others. So although like that's why like it felt weird that that's what the Buddha said, like if all like I feel like he would it would be something more like centered towards loving others, like, or loving the universe, or but when he's like I feel like when you like love yourself, you also like if you like get to that level where you love yourself so much, then you're like loving the universe even more. I don't know, but that's like how I'm like.
Yeah, don't say I don't know. You know very beautifully. Well, okay. So then, so it's okay when we love everybody in the universe, but you know, when we shine a little love upon ourselves, now suddenly it's selfish, right? That's a little over the top, I think. So, and if you don't, it's like being in an airplane when the oxygen comes down. If you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of others, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I said in the beginning for already. Please realize what a beautiful thing it is that you found yourself in this room. I say that in every room I walk in.
Yeah.
It's already heard me say that. You might have heard me say that at Psychiatry 175. So, and I love your papers, by the way. So but yeah. So what's you search? Oh, so you could search the entire world over, and you would find no one more deserving of your love and kindness than you. More deserving, yeah. So it's like you should. The more makes it maybe a little bit. Right? I think that's why you found the selfish, but that is kind of an antidote for most people that are really loving but leave themselves always out of the equation, right? So it's like a little push on it, yeah. I guess I would like to take the more out, but since it's not my quote, I can't do that. Oh, people are right.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. What do you know what time we have to go to the other session?
Yeah, like in 5 minutes. So
Okay.
go
I'm
on a
gonna take.
bio break and everything. But I stay here for another 5 if you want. But yeah, my email address at the moment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Question, Timo. Great. By the way, great job.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
My question is, you were explaining that I guess natural awareness occurs in between our thoughts. There's this.
Can I jump right away? No, it always occurs. It only shines between our thoughts. right? It's not like awareness stops and then the thought awareness. That's why I said presence is always presencing, beingness is always being, natural awareness is always present. But then there's an overlay. It's kind of like a little cloud of angry uh, lightning and thunder, which is our thoughts, feelings, and perceptions that are is like floating right here. Yet we are the sky, right? So the sky-like nature of mind is always shining, yet it gets covered by the cloud temporarily. So it's like kind of sticking your head up through the clouds, through the thoughts, feelings, emotions, and perceptions into our always present awareness, or what they call Buddha mind or Christ consciousness. But I don't want to, those religious terms like feels like there's like a narrowing of the truth, while I feel natural awareness and love contains all truths.
So,
Yeah,
so
but
is
I jumped on you, so please go on.
is that a way? I mean, I know language is limiting on our understanding of these things. So is basically what you're trying to say is that's who we really are, right? In essence,
Right.
what
We are aware.
underlies,
Right.
right? Yeah, it's always there.
It's always there. We are not our thoughts. I mean, that's part of the whole class we're doing, right? So we identify with our thoughts and we feel this whole mosaic of our thoughts is who we are. But actually, prior to that, there is awareness, and then a life arises with thoughts, feelings, emotions, and perceptions. But sometimes when you fall asleep and there are no thoughts, it's like, are you not there? Yeah, you are. It's just like awareness is there. You might say I'm asleep, but when we get into sleep yoga and stuff, that's a whole other thing. But there's so much beauty to explore in these traditions.
It was explained to me this way, and it really makes sense of what you're saying. Mala beads.
Yes.
You have all the beads around the mala and the string. Well, the beads are the events in our life, and the string is the awareness or presence or nature of mind that we really are.
Yes. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. Yeah. I like that metaphor. So, yeah, and if you hold it too tight, right, then the beads will burn your hand. So it's like about an openness, a free flow in life. You like letting experiences come and go. Okay, now I think we have to go because I don't think they will like it if I push into the next session. I really love
Thank you.
having you. Thank you for being here. If
Thank
you
you.
have questions, you can reach me. My email is there.
I'll,
Oh,
I'm available.
thank you.
I
It
will.
was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.